Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Dr. Doujinshi, and welcome back to another episode of Hentai Reviews, the only series where we're going to be doing this where we do this entire review with only one arm. Not because I'm doing anything weird, but because I got my first shot for the vaccine today, and my arm is sore. It has been a very long time since I've gotten my last shot in, any form whatsoever. So, yeah, I'm not doing super great, but doing something with only one hand is pretty natural at this point. So, let's go ahead and get on to this. Today we are going to be looking at, as I said in the last time I did a review for this, Black Bible Origins, Episode 1. Because the last time we did Black Bible, was, I believe, the 4th episode, and in the listings for them, it goes 1, 2, 3, 4, Origins 1 and Origins 2, and then 5, 6, 7, and then it, or something along those lines, and then it goes into the sequel series. And it's a bit weird, but I'm just going by the way it's listed. I feel like this is a good way of transitioning back into getting a little bit of backstory on this whole thing, because Origins is a prequel to the actual series. And it's only 2 episodes, so, might as well. So, it's done by the exact same studio, runs at a very similar length, but I feel like this one does have a bit going for it in a few departments. So, let's go ahead and go on to that. Okay. This starts out, Black Bible Origins, of which I just realized is referred to as Bible Black, and I'm too far along into the series to correct it, so I'm going to be referring to it the way that I've been saying it. Black Bible Origins Episode 1 starts off with an establishing shot of the school, presumably the school that everything takes place in the original series, and immediately shows 2 girls getting pretty handsy. A blue-haired girl, Kazano, and a timid green-haired girl, of which case is let's just say she's the recipient in most of this sorts of things. They start getting handsy, leading to scene 1, ranging from 1 minute and 5 seconds to 4 minutes and 15 seconds. 3 minutes, 10 seconds. That's not a bad run, not at all. And then it cuts to a red-haired student. This is actually the younger Takashiro, aka the art teacher from the original series, who has longer hair and unfortunately was a human balloon for a period of time. Doing some card reading, tarot cards. Like I said, JoJo's references. Am I right? No, I'm kidding. As the blue-haired girl from earlier, Kozano, walks in and says, "What's going on over here? What's going on over here? Minding our own fucking business. That's what's going on over here." She intercedes, and exactly what I just said. It then cuts to the blonde girl, Kitomi. Yeah, we know who this bitch is. And she's getting food from a person, realizing that she actually doesn't have a lot of money, and then shows up to school and starts feeding a lot of the food that she was giving to a dog that she had been playing with the whole time while she was there. There. And it then shows over to Takashiro, the red-haired girl, who noticeably has a lot thinner of a cut now, like it goes to right here. Here, she brings the book. And if you're wondering what book I'm referring to, the book that was here, Episode 1, that for some reason, this whole thing is called Bible Black, or Black Bible, and the book has a Star of David on it. That's Jewish, I believe. If somebody knows more than me, please correct me in the comments. So, let's go ahead. She brings the book into class, and then the proposal for the Magic Club is shot down. Weirdly, by the timid girl who we had met earlier, who was on the receiving end of the handsiness, if you know what I mean. She says, why are you going to do this? And she's like, I'm just the messenger. Well, you're saying dickish stuff. So, can you at least make it sound better? That's sort of a nonsense. And after getting the club denied, there's a brief little cut where Kozano, you kind of find out by now, she's like the student council president, that sort of horseshit position that did nothing in my actual school years, but apparently is higher than the president himself in every anime and hentai in the world. So what happens is she walks outside, and then there's this not too good-looking guy that she kind of meets out there. He's got a little bit of a weird teeth, he's kind of hunched over, skinny, got some sunken-in eyes. He looks like the average college student. He says, "Hey, I wanted to know if you could read this for me. It's obviously a love letter or something to, hey, will you go out with me?" And she not only says, "Hey, I'm not into dudes, and but then she goes, but if I were, fuck you anyway." And the guy's like, "Oh, cool. Yeah, I'll go just live that one down, apparently." And then he just walks off, which is pretty good for a rated NSFW series, because usually if the ugly guy asks out the girl and the girl says no, there's a step that happens here that rhymes with grape, and it's not fun. But he showed a lot of restraint and then walked away. Took it like a champ. Good for him. And then the people who were signing up for the Magic Club go over to Takashiro's house and start studying the actual text to try to figure out what it actually says. And then they actually do discover one thing, but they want to test it out. It's a spell that supposedly makes a woman dance around naked if they're affected. So they decide, hey, let's go after that that asshole that told us we couldn't have a magic club. So they do, and it then leads to an assembly. Yeah, the assembly was started out by Kozano, and then is like, "Welcome up, my friend, Timid Chick." And then Timid Chick walks up and is like, "Hey, I've got a oh lord." And then she starts getting down with her bad self in front of everybody, and dances naked with her fingers inside of herself. Yeah, that's exactly what you're expecting. Which leads to scene 2, running from 15 minutes and 20 seconds to 17 minutes and 30 seconds. 2 minutes, 10 seconds. A little bit shorter, but still workable. And we actually find out at this point her name, at least I did, her name is Junko. And the only reason I figured that out is because she physically said her name during this scene, which is kind of the part where you pay attention. But nonetheless, Takashiro gathers the group to discuss an alibi for hey, there are cops here. How many of you told about any of the spells? And they're like, "We haven't told anybody." And she's like, "Oh, so just me." Hey, they're kind of getting an alibi together as somebody walks up to the roof with them. It is the not so good looking guy that got shot down earlier. And he says, "Hey, I know you guys can do magic. So I want you to do me one favor, just one," which is exactly what you'd think it is. A little bit of a magical favor. And it then shows Kozano and Kitami, the blonde-haired chick who has some very bad things that she's going to do later on in the series. They're studying, they're trying to figure out a few things together, and then Kozano gets a little handsy with her, and in a shocking twist of narrative understanding, she gets rejected right then and there. Yeah, the lesbian scene you thought was coming, it just led to a lot of uncomfortable groping, and then it was like, "Hey, fuck off, I have boundaries." She's like, "Okay, cool." Then it just ends right there. They see each other again the next day as Kitami is feeding the dog outside the same amount of food she normally does. And then the uglier guy from before walks by. Kozano is like, "Hey, I like the way you have sunken in eyes," and then runs towards him and starts getting very friendly, very fast. Yes, and yeah. it immediately leads to a pretty decent scene. And from scene 3, which leads to 22 minutes and 30 seconds to 25 minutes and 45 seconds, ends with the guy being like, hey, this is my first time. And the girl's like, I'm a whore. Jeez, that sounds mean, but it is exactly that energy. Like, that energy is portrayed through the entire scene, and it's pretty damn good, if I will say so myself. Oh, and then it ends with the entire Magic Club being outside the door, being like, we should probably limit our usage on this. Or at least, you know, like, figure out the stronger stuff so we don't fuck around with the lower stuff anymore. And then the episode ends. And I gotta say, this is legitimately interesting. Like, I'm not even gonna cut to anything related to this. I know it's a new portion of the series, but damn, like, this is good shit. Like, Black Bible Origins, that's the good shit. This is quality. So far, everything that has happened in this episode has so far been better than the rest of Black Bible. The rest of Black Bible has a longer story because it's introducing you to a lot, but once you know that and then you jump into this, not only does the story engage you for what's going on, you actually know some of the characters and you're like, alright, we don't need to establish you, but we can get a few more details to show how you progress later. And you actually do, like, look at the characters, and the sex is very, it's used, but overall, this is a 27-minute thing with about 2 minutes for credits. And it doesn't feel like that. It feels like I'm watching another episode of Redo of a Healer, which, the way I'm saying it is like, you're watching another TV show. Like, there's not a lot that's going on right now, but you're focusing. A lot's going to happen, but you're here and the story just feels like it's going well. And that's all I can say. I'm really excited to watch the next episode. It's going to be a few days before I get to it because I have to... there's the Variety episode tomorrow, and then Redo of a Healer, and then I'll be back to Black Bible. Or whenever I make these videos. Some days are worse than others. I just decide to not do anything. Some days I have to wake up early. But nonetheless, this was a good episode, and I would recommend it. I don't know, if you're focusing on the story, I wouldn't say that you should skip the rest of Black Bible and then go straight to this. But if you're watching it just for the scenes themselves and you're not super into, like, the weird shit that happens, you can definitely skip and then go straight to here. Because this is pretty vanilla on a lot of different terms, just for the fact that one girl's a little forceful, there's a few things that happen in public, and there's magic involved. But the magic is never like, bam, now you have to stand still, and I'm disgusting, so this is gonna look bad. It's damn good. People look like they're enjoying themselves, and it's just quality, okay? There's nothing really much else I can say, but given the fact that my arm is hurting a lot right now, and I'm going to go ahead and say that I'm not used to being awake right now, new work schedule and everything, so let's go ahead and end right there. Thank y'all for being here. We're still at 86 subscribers. We are so close to 100, a goal I never thought was possible, and I don't know how to say how much I appreciate the fuck out of every single one of you for helping me get this far. If I could hold up the like prayer thing with the two hands, I would. Just know from the bottom of my heart, I thank each and every one of you for being here. This is such a good community with people who actually for the very few people that do comment, it's either funny, it's criticism that I understand I should be using more of, and people that just want the videos to be better. But I have been the Doctor. Thank y'all for being here, and have a nice day. Don't be a dick, there's too many of them, and wash your fucking hands. I have been the Doctor. Peace.